Hello Gearspace, Adrian here from RME. We are at Superbooth 2021 and we have a very hot product with us today. This is the RME Fireface UCX II. In 2011 we published to the world the original UCX, and after 10 years we thought it might be a great idea to do some upgrades and show a very compact, advanced audio interface to the world. So that's what we did with the UCX II. Essentially, the UCX II is now a fully standalone audio interface with 20 inputs and 20 outputs. And not only that, we have put in some great features from the bigger brother, the UFX Plus and UFX II, into the UCX II. So we have the same topology and the same editing and menu that you're accustomed from the UFX. So I can go to my mic gain settings, I can go to the line instruments on the front, so we have very high quality mic preamps on the front, a line and instrument input, so you can hook up your DI bass or DI guitar directly into that. They are very clean, very lovely DI inputs. Then right next to there you have the headphone output, which is very powerful and very clean as well, as you know from RME. But generally what we did here is it's a standalone interface. You can hook it up to your iPad, you can hook it up to your Mac or Windows PC, and even on Linux, because we have a class compliant mode in there. But you essentially have all the goodies. So if you go to the record and play menu, what you'll find is Durag. So on the back we have the USB thumb drive area. So we hooked up a USB thumb drive, and you can record all the 40 channels of the UCX II directly onto a thumb drive with no problems. And you can also do playback. So you'll find the all the outputs like MIDI I/O, then you have ADAT, you have AS, SPDIF, and your analog I/O, plus very new word clock I/O that is both input and output, so you can decide for yourself whether you want to be as input or word clock output. And yes, so let's do that. So we have the menu for Durag, and we can go right there and say, let's start the recording. And the UCX II will show you immediately what's going on onto your thumb drive. What the USB load is, if there are any errors, so you can check right beforehand if the thumb drive is really good for Durag. We have done a video about this on our YouTube channel if you want to know more how to improve the Durag performance. So, and then I can go and stop the recording or delete everything. And when I stop the recording, you can see that I have 80 channels selected and recorded. And if I go here, I can play back those channels recorded. And that's like a really cool thing, because now we have a standalone mixer and multi-track recorder, because these channels are being stored into an interleaved WAV file, meaning you can drag and drop them into Logic or Ableton or your DAW that supports such WAV files, and you have every instrument that you've recorded for its own, so you have the stems available. Then next to that is the channel mix setting, and this is a really cool setting now menu, because we also have in the UCX II EQ, gate, compressor, expander, delay, and reverb. And we can use the menu directly to control this. So now I'm in my low-cut menu for the first microphone input. And I can go through there. I can go to the low-cut, say, hey, I want it to be on. And then I can also select the corner frequency for the low-cut. And I can also select the filter slope. So maybe I just want to have a very slow slope, like this here, like only 6 dB or 24 dB. I can select that. And apart from that, I have also the parametric EQ available. So I can say, hey, I want a parametric EQ. I have 3 bands. I can decide for the shelf and the band frequency and the band Q, and I can go there and just do all these recordings. And mind you, those settings can be either on the recording or not. So I can say, hey, I just want to have the EQs and the dynamics just to be on the monitoring channel and not on the recording channel. So if you have a live performance and you need that for your live performance to have a compressor, then you can set that, and then the recording itself is clean. Next to that is a compressor expander with all the settings that you know, like makeup gain, attack time, release time, what have you. Next to that is an auto level, and then we have just general settings like mute the channel or do effect sense and which channel type, if it's a mono or stereo channel, if I want it to be recorded via Durag. And something really cool is the track name. So that is new to the UCX II. You can actually have a track name selected, and this track name will be stored into the WAV file, so you know exactly what file or what stem you have already. And then there is something we call play channel, because you can play back the signals that you've recorded. So I can say, hey, I want this the recording of this channel to be on playback channel, you know, it's just select that. So on 23, for example. Also MS processing is in there, phase inversion, preamp gain, all the settings, they can be stored and set here. This is really, really good. And if I click the channel mix button a second time, I go directly to the mixing setup. So right now we're in the mix to phones mode. So everything that I set here will be on the phone's output. So I say, hey, I want to mix the signal of the phones to my, the mic input to my phones, and I have this fader control, and there I can set the fader level or the balance. And if you go click again, then you're out there and you have a complete overview of all the channels of the UCX II, and also the clock source and the sampling rate that we're currently using. If I hold that main encoder for a longer time, then I just see a huge view of the outputs, of the analog outputs. So yeah, and then we have setup and everything. So I think the UCX II now is a really complete package, because not only does it have all the inbuilt effects and settings that you would love to have to control your audio, but it's also now a standalone recorder. You have a DC coupled output, which is the next big thing. So all the analog outputs of the UCX II are now DC coupled, which we show obviously for Superbooth. So here are my settings. I have Ableton open, and I have a modular rig with like the CV tools from Ableton. So I'm sending out LFO information. I have gate and pitch information that I send out from the CV instrument. I can play those, the notes, so I calibrated the VCO with Ableton CV tools, and I can just play the modular rack and just control everything. And this is really cool. If you're a beginner with modular, and maybe you say, hey, I don't need that many LFOs at the moment, because I just want to try out something cool like a filter and maybe just an envelope and an oscillator. You can have more modulation sources from the UCX directly. And it's really easy. It's like a 6.3 millimeter TS mono cable, and then it's just like a little 3.5 millimeter, and you just can go in there and with no problems. Now I'm like modulating with the LFO. This is the output from the LFO coming out of Ableton, and I just modulate the filter. So from what I've been showing you, you can clearly see that the UCX II is like for us a pretty jam-packed package. So it's like what we call an advanced audio interface, meaning it's not about just the sound, it's about all the features that you have for your performance. I mean, if you think about what I showed you, in this small package, it's absolutely stunning. And yeah, check it out. We're really happy to hear your feedback. And thanks so much to Gearspace for being at our stand. See ya.